Welcome to Just Chat with Uncle Dominic. It is the new year already. It's 11 days into the year 2024. Are you excited about this great year? There's so much things we can talk about, and there's lots of exciting topics coming to the show. For today, we're going to focus on one, which is very interesting, a question that we always ask ourselves. Why is our life so boring? Especially, why is it so dull? Right? So, we have our guest today. Let's welcome Angel.
Woo!
Hey,
Hello.
Angel.
Hi.
Welcome to Just Chat.
Super happy to be here.
All right, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit to everyone?
Yes, my name is Angel. I am an artist. I'm an improv comic. I'm a musician. All things right-brained. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, you mentioned improv comic. That's the first I
Yes.
heard of improv comic. Could you explain that a little bit? What is that?
It's comedy made up on the spot, which is actually not too far away from what you and I are doing right here at the moment. Um,
Okay.
just being on a stage and making stuff up. I think it is the lowest respected of all the comedies, but it is definitely the bravest. And yeah, one of the things I do.
Is there a lot of people that are into this improv comic thing?
Whew. There are a lot of people that are into it, into watching it or into doing it. That's kind of the same group. Improv people like to watch improv. I'm not sure if the rest of the world is on board with that. Um, but yes, I do a thing that's called comedy sports. It's like whose line is it anyway, with two teams and a referee. So we play funny games against each other, and the audience decides who's funnier and who wins. We wear sport shirts. There's a referee,
Oh,
and
interesting. Interesting.
it is. It is. It's
I've done improv way back when I was much younger. For where I am right now, I don't think there's much improv that's available to where I am, so I haven't got into any improv. But let's go into the question: why is
yes,
life
yes.
so boring and dull? Right, that's the question that everyone has to ask
Why?
sometimes.
Why is life so boring and dull? Here's my honest opinion of why that is. I think that we have really gotten far away from what we actually are, who we actually are, which is creative beings. We are the only living creature that creates, meaning we make things out of nothing just to do it, not because we need a nest or to impress a mate. And it's so inherent to what we are as a creature. Um, it helps with anxiety and depression and sleeplessness and boredom, and exercises all kinds of skills that are important to us as a creature: how to think outside the box, how to come up with new pathways for our brain. It's a great place to practice self kindness and self worth. And we've really gotten far away from the idea that we are all makers. We create. Cave drawings are tens of thousands of
Mhm.
years old, right? It is the first thing that we did as a creature, really, because signs of agriculture are only like 5,000 years old, which means it's more important for us as a creature to create, to express ourselves, than to eat on the regular. And we've only been selling art to each other for about 500 years, and that's a blip. But it's how we gauge now who does art, right? If I'm not good at it, I shouldn't do it.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah, that's what people do now. Like, you're creative,
yeah,
I'm not creative,
yeah.
so why should I be involved in art?
But
Right?
you are, you just don't know it. When you think about it, you don't use any skills that you didn't use when you learned how to write your name, how to write, how to curve your wrist to make a good figure or something. That's all art is, and the rest of it is just practice and skill. And the more you make a character, the better it gets, right? The more you make any mark, the better the
But what
mark
about the
gets.
ideas that come into people's heads sometimes? Like, some people will say,
That's
I
the
don't have an
disconnect.
idea. What do I do? I'm not creative.
Yeah,
They'll come with the, I
yeah,
don't have an idea. I'm not
yeah.
creative.
Draw the coffee cup you're looking at. Even just the act of drawing circles gives you this really great brain to dexterity connection. It's like meditating with a parting gift, the art
Mm.
being the parting gift, right? Because when you have that connection, your brain doesn't daydream, your brain doesn't wander. You're connected to the manual experience, Um, yeah, so that's, don't remember where I was going with that.
Well, yeah, well, I guess what you're saying is try to build a habit out of things, right? But then there's a
Yes.
question that I was looking up as well, and it
Yeah.
is we are so well. It's not a question. It's like we are so used to routine and everything
Yes.
that's going on in our life, so we kind of autonomize everything that we're doing.
Yes.
So
Yes.
for people like that, so like for me, example, I wake up in the morning, I go to work, I come home at around 5 to 6:30 or something, and then I get ready for my streams, I do my shows, and I go to bed, or hug my kids or whatever, and it just daily life, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
some people like me will find it's okay. It's not so it's boring, but it's okay, it's normal. But for some other people, they're like, oh, this is boring. I need some spice in my life. And when I say some spice in their life, that means sometimes they go out and do some crazy things and they get themselves into trouble and they will think about it. Why did I do it in the first place? So I should just go back to a boring, dull life, right? And so what can you bring to this?
Hopefully there's middle ground in there, something that's not dangerous or illegal. Somewhere, hopefully there's some kind of activity that happens in the middle between boring and mundane and getting yourself into some trouble. I really believe, and I am biased, but I really believe that doing creative things is a great practice field. It's a great place to because when you're drawing, you can draw anything from squiggles to dragons,
Mm,
and that just that little bit is a great place to practice a little self bravery. Like,
mm,
oh, I can do a thing that I didn't know I could do. Maybe I'll try tap dancing tomorrow. You know what I mean? There are things that we can do that we don't give ourselves permission to do.
mm,
And I think that drawing or painting or just doing something that is so basic and inherent to who we are is just a great stepping stone, because it's hard to take that first step from your boring and mundane life to, oh, acting, community theater, no, I can't do that. Playing an instrument, nope, I can't do that. Well, actually you can. It's just that we put these barriers on ourselves, like I'm not good at it, therefore I shouldn't do it. It's not the reason to do things. Do things because they're good for you, like yoga. Art is like yoga. You're way better on day 800 than you are on day one, but it's good for you on day one, and it's a low um, uh, uh, problem place to start. No one's going to get in trouble for your scribbles on the paper. No one's losing their job, and you're not
mm.
doing it to sell it. You're It's such a great way to practice self-care and to practice changing those voices in our heads that tell us that we're boring, or tell us that we're can't do a thing, or tell us that we're not good at a thing. You can turn that message around, because the message lives in here. You are in charge of that. There isn't some little person floating around telling you you're not good at things. It's you. So you
Mhm.
can go, no, you know what? I did nail it. I am really good at this. I can do this. I can get better every day. And that little message can bleed over into other things. I can take up running. I can, you know what I mean? That's a
Right, right,
that
right, right.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, now I want to bring this into the perspective as well, because I'm from an well, obviously Asian culture, and so um, I live in Taiwan right now. So it's the Asian culture, Asian community. So and I'm an educator, so my students are
Oh,
Asian. Most of them are Asian anyway. They're well, technically all Asians, right? So they have this idea. Well, there's always this idea where parents or teachers, some teachers will be saying, "Stop wasting your time drawing. It's not going to make any money, right?
yes.
You grow up to be a doctor, be someone big, but not an artist, right?"
Yes. And
So, how would you say to that? But at the same time, when we're thinking about that, those kids are trying to create, like you said, creativity or things to make their life more exciting instead of dull. So they're having exams, and they're like, "I'm drawing and I'm scribbling on the exams," and it's fun. But at the same time, there's adults will be saying, "Stop doing it. It's not gonna, make help you with anything at all." So, what do you say to that situation? Oh,
my dad got that same message. He was an artist when he was a kid, and
Asian family?
in my family, yeah. And
Oh,
and
okay. Are they
when
Asian?
he
No.
when he turned 17, his
Right,
father
right.
said to him, "Okay, you have to stop doing that now, because
Mm,
art is for girls to do, and you have to
Oh,
go and get a boy job, something to that effect. This was back in the 50s, 60s, a long time
right,
ago,
right, right.
but the message is still kind of the same. You know, when we're 6 years old, we are allowed to be artists. So we all, if you ask 106-year-olds, raise your hand if you're an artist, 100 hands will go up without even thought. And we're also singers and dancers. And at some point, either we decide or somebody tells us we're not good at it, or that's you should aim for something else, and then we kind of adopt that message. But when you think of art as just the creative process, the process of creating a thing, it's self-care. It's not, I'm not doing it because I want to make a living. Some of us make a living doing it. That's not the reason to do it. That is my big message in life. It is self-care. The reason to do it is to teach yourself the messages that will allow you to go out and do the things that you want to do, that you need bravery to do. We get a lot of external messages, and those external messages become our internal messages.
Hmm.
And this is such a low stakes thing that you can do to help counteract those things. Power is in confidence. All of our power, all of what makes us attractive and feel valuable is feel that we have value and worth comes from internal, has nothing to do with what we do, because I know that there are a lot of people in the healthcare professional that don't feel they have value as a human. That hurts me to say out loud, but
Hmm.
because everybody does. So your job doesn't give you the value, it comes from inside, and this is a tangible way to gain that value, to gain that the self-worth and the confidence and the value that you need to do whatever it is you want to do out there. um, if this were a perfect world, to me it would be encouraged. It would be the most important thing that we teach in school, because math and history is wonderful, but everything starts here. The more powerful and value we feel as a human, the more we're going to bring to our communities, right? And I really really do believe that some kind of a creative practice is the way to get there.
I don't think my science teacher or math teacher is going to be happy when you said that. But the art teacher, which is definitely will, but
But
not
the
the science and
science
math teacher.
teacher maybe would, because if they are about finding research and development starts with asking more questions, right? With what if I do it this way? What if I do it that way? That that's also an art thing. So they are kind of
Mhm.
related. And
It came to my
where
just came to my another show recently that I just did with my the thing that I came up with, the what if mentality. Like everything, if what if we say what if to certain things, like what
yeah,
if I do this something different? What if things were different before? But I mentioned there's a con to this. If we think too much of what if, we focus too much on the past, and then we stay in the past. So we need to move on.
yes,
So
yes, yeah,
you mentioned in your biography, I was looking at it, about the paint and sip, right? Could you explain a little
yes.
bit more about that?
Is
Because
that not a thing in there in Taiwan? Because if it's not, I'm coming over. What it is
oh,
people
I actually know, but
gather.
yeah.
We people gather in a public place, a bar or a restaurant, a place, and someone leads people through a painting activity while you drink, while you have a creative
Okay, okay.
beverage,
So it's the
and
same
it
thing
and
that
it's
I
a
thought. They actually
yes,
have
it
it
is.
here already. I've seen
They do.
one cafe that's they've been doing it. A couple, I guess they brought it from the Americas or whatever. So they're
Yeah, yeah,
doing
makes
it, and
sense.
they have a coffee shop, so people are having fun with them so
Yes.
far. But it's not near me, so I haven't been to any of that. But
Oh,
yeah,
I hope you get to one. They are fun. It's a fun way to dip your toe in without. It's just so funny to me, and I understand it because I feel the same way. The word artist is a really hard word to own. It feels like it's something that should be followed by slash barista
hmm.
on your professional profile, right? It's a
But
really
here's the
hard
thing.
word
Also, I want to
to
put it
own.
up though. Like this is
Hmm.
exciting, right? It's exciting,
Hmm.
but the thing is, it takes time. Correct. So people tend to avoid these places because it takes some time out of their daily life. So
Yes.
if painting does not take 5 minutes to paint, so it usually spends about an hour or two or even more. And so if they were, so they already knew this. So once they know that they already know this, so once they see this thing, and most people will just avoid it because it's gonna take 2 hours out of their life. So what would you say
The
to
two
people like
hours
this?
though will
Well,
goes by like that.
yeah, so it's
But
kind of like maybe it's a waste of time. I could have used the 2 hours to go study investment or read some books or something, right? What do you say to that?
right. I say to that 2 hours that you spend doing creative things equals 2 hours of meditation time. I enjoy the
Meditation, right?
practice of meditating, but I am not good at it because my brain just jumps to a to-do list. It's hard for me to shut my brain down. But if I do art for 2 hours, the time goes by like that. And that is my mental reboot. And that time is always valuable, isn't it? Because if your brain gets too cluttered up, you can't concentrate on anything. But just like an hour of meditation just clears you so you can be productive in other areas of your life. Art does the
Mm,
same thing. Art does the same thing. Yeah. So it is self-care, and self-care is just an important thing. You can't function, it's not sustainable to just be go 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 all the time. And especially like you said, it's so fun. It's a funny um dichotomy, isn't it, that we at the same time think life is so boring, but at the same time we don't ever slow down. It is an interesting
right,
thing
right,
to
yeah,
me.
yeah. Because we we
Yeah.
we kind of know it's boring, like,
Yeah.
but we still have to do what we're doing, unless
Right.
we have a lazy personality and just lay in bed and just not do anything, rely on our parents or rely on someone else to take care of us. But you know, I don't know. I was brought up in
Let
a family
me
that I shouldn't do that. I should go out and work for the family. Make sure if there is time, just go out and do something. So I was
let me
brought up
speak to
in
that for just a second too.
right.
That is another thing that for me art is good at. You said if you have a lazy personality, that it might be that you don't have a lazy personality. That is how you do your reboot, by sitting before you go and do your do. I'm not because your body just needs it. It needs the downtime, and you can spend the downtime painting. You can spend the downtime meditating. You can spend it sitting on your couch, scrolling on your phone. It's all the downtime. But that the self talk that, oh, I'm
Mm.
lazy. No, maybe I'm just rebooting. And I really feel that art is also a good way to practice the self kindness, because if we paint something that doesn't look like Van Gogh would do. It's like, oh, I must suck at
Mm.
this. But you know what? Maybe it's a Matisse. Maybe you have more of a, because your personality is always on the paper, right?
Right.
So it's a great place to practice a little.
I like the way where you turn something negative into something very
Always.
positive. So that's really good. But at the same time, if I were to give a cell phone to my students, mobile phones, and they were to sit down rebooting, that's what you call it, they would stay there for 6 hours or 10 hours rebooting. It's not very. Well, as
Now,
an
now,
educator, I always say that's not a good time to do it.
yeah.
Spend less time on your phone. And but what do you say to that if you're saying this is rebooting, relaxing,
Well,
and but
I say
six
that
hours?
too much of anything is not a good thing, right?
Yeah,
Everything in
right.
moderation.
That's right. Everything in moderation. That's right.
Everything in moderation. It is necessary, and I think learning to give yourself some limits on something like the scrolling is a good thing.
Because I work in a school, so we have a lot of teachers around us, right? And so all different kind of personalities, and
Mm.
pretty much every day is almost the same, right? We see the same people, we do the same thing, we prepare our lessons, everything pretty much the same. So it's the routine, correct?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes.
you mentioned in one of the things that you like to discuss about is the importance of humor in the workplace. So could you
Yes.
elaborate on that?
I did a talk once on the importance of humor in the workplace. It is in the top three things that an employer from the Forbes list looks for in a new hire. Um, not so much the experience or the education. Do they have a sense of humor? How well are they going to get on with the team? So humor is important just in that way. Humor makes you a more likable person, right? But the humor has to be either self-directed. Um,
What's
no, it always has
self-directed?
to
What do you
be
mean by self-directed?
self-directed, meaning uh, making fun of the person you're talking to is never funny. Making fun of the fact that I draw my eyebrows on every day, hilarious.
Um,
That's what I mean.
okay.
Self-deprecation, as long as it's not harmful, you know. So, and that takes confidence. It takes the confidence to be able to tell the world that I draw my eyebrows on every day. A lot of us do it, I am aware, but nobody talks about it. It's a secret thing. It's a secret society. But humor also is very improv based when you think about it. We are improving this conversation right now. You don't know what I'm going to say next. I don't know what you're going to say next, but we are making this whole conversation work.
How would you know?
It's
I have
pretty
it
much.
all written down right here.
Tell us more about the farm,
Heck,
Angel. Farm.
yes, what about the farm? You have a farm?
I grew up on a farm.
Okay, okay. Wow. Yeah, so humor, right? So you mentioned humor directed to your own self-direct. So I
Mm-hmm.
like that
Mm-hmm.
because I think most humor in general is always directed to someone else, and it's just whether
Mm-hmm.
how far that particular person can accept you bashing on them or using them as material. And so
Yes.
sometimes it creates tension, I guess. And then
More
at the
often
same
than
time,
not, it feels unkind. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Unless, like, my brother and I have a great banter and we can go back and forth, but I know inherently uh, I'm one of his favorite people, so he can never say anything that will be damaging to me, and neither does he say anything that is super damaging to me. But we can have a good riff back and forth about a thing. So there's safety in that. But for everybody else, um, it's uh, when you are self confident, you don't need to have anything be at the expense of someone else, and you can afford to expend it yourself. I have a lot of self confidence, so somebody saying something unkind to me doesn't hurt my feelings, but it says something to me about the person that said it, right?
But here's the thing, though. We are
Mm-hmm.
adults, right? We have lots of
Yes.
confidence in a lot of things. I think most adults have way more confidence than students. So for my students out there,
Yes.
they don't have a lot of self confidence sometimes. So
Yes.
even my kids, right? So how would you, you know, tell to them like how do they get self confidence in the first place?
uh, uh, Again, I am so biased, but I really feel like art is the way to get there, to be able to create something and be to really know in your heart you've done a good thing. And I don't mean that you've rendered it well. I mean you've done a good thing, right? And there's a difference because look at this. Most of the stuff Picasso did looks nothing like what he was trying to draw, and it was purposeful and it's done with confidence. Yeah.
Right, but during Picasso time, it's a whole
Mm-hmm.
different. Like everyone's doing painting like Renaissance style, and there's this one guy who decided to do something different. I
How
mean,
about the
if
chutzpah
you look at
there?
society, then people don't like him, right? So it's like I don't
True
like you,
that.
and so he
True
has a
that.
problem. But like you said, he has confidence. Like I believe my work is still going
Yeah.
on the best, and then, but the thing was, he wasn't successful then, and he only was successful after he passed on, and then we realized the importance of his work. But it was a little late, right? So
The importance of their work, but also how grateful we've got to be now that he worked beyond that and didn't just copy what everybody else was doing.
right,
And most great artists you can say that about.
uh-huh.
And there's a real power in that. And I
Yeah,
really, you know, everybody has value, and any I really believe this, unless you are a very damaged human being, everybody has value. They just don't know what it is because they're comparing themselves to everybody else. They're comparing themselves to the really pretty people on TikTok, or to, you know, the smarter kid in their class, or what I'm talking about, young people now, right? They're always comparing themselves. When they find their own thing, whatever that thing is, that's where they can build up their worth and their Picasso-ness, right? And then it doesn't matter what other people like someone can walk in a room wearing really short plaid pants, and if they walk in very embarrassed that they've just walked into a room wearing plaid pants, people are going to laugh at them. But if they walk in the room like they own it, like Timothy Chalamet or somebody like, people are like, I got to get me some short plaid pants because that look how good they look in that guy. But what really looks good on that guy is the confidence he walked in the room with. And
But
and
you
I
don't. You're not going to see many of this confidence in many 14 years old, 12
You
years
do
old.
not. And it's
But just because,
notable when you do. It's notable when you do, isn't it?
right? Yeah,
They're
yeah.
out there, but they're
Because
rare.
the
You are
people
right.
around them is gonna be like, like you said, they like to draw their paints, and then, but maybe no one likes the way they draw their paints, and so people will start saying things about that, right? Oh, I want to
Yeah.
put this up because I have a student that I know her. I'm she was 13 years old. She's still 13. I known her since the first start of junior one, so she's great. Was that grade seven? So, um, she has this personality that's like great, full of confidence, right? And if she wants to sing, she'll sing on the spot.
Love it.
It's not normal for an Asian kid to do this. So
Yes.
she wants to sing, she sing on the spot. She ties her hair very differently. It's like so different. She stands out a lot. But as the semester goes by, it has been like for what 5 6 months now. It just you see on certain days she's just dragged down. There's one time I asked her, I was like, "You don't tie your hair like you used to anymore. It's special hair." And she's like, "Oh." I think it's because people start saying things about it, and she started getting, down about it, and it just drags on. So I guess I'm gonna say this does happen to everyone. Like so,
Yes.
like your society and things
Yes.
happen. So I try to tell her that's pretty cool. Why don't you start doing? Don't you do it again? So eventually, I see her start picking up again, and she starts doing a bit what we students say weird things, but at the same time, she's just picking up. So it just drags her down, up and down. So what can you say besides being doing art and stuff like that? What can you say to students like that who stands out, but at the same time get dragged down by the reality of the world. So
We have no control over that because those people are going to be around from the time we are tykes until we are elderly people. Somebody like you, forgive me if I get weepy, but somebody like you are going to be the voice she remembers the rest of her life as someone, as a hero, as someone that gave her that little spark of confidence that she needed to be the really cool person that she is. All it takes is the one, and you are the one for her. And it's such an important thing to do. And it's sad that it has to come from outside people, but it does when we're young because we're still forming. But from outside people are how we learn that we are good or bad or short or tall or smart or dumb, because everybody tells us, until we figure out how to give ourselves that message. And it doesn't matter as much if it comes in a negative way, but the positive stuff will always matter. And I don't think there's a shortcut. I like to think that like I said, I'm biased. I like to think that having this creative practice, because it is so inherent to us, that it is the very core of self confidence and learning that we can do a thing, learning that we can. Oh, I can do calligraphy. Oh, I can paint. I just never tried. You know what I mean? But you are doing great things. Yeah,
well, thank you for saying that.
I
Yeah,
don't
I
think
don't
there's a
try that
shortcut.
easily. I do, but
But
yeah,
I think we've all had that teacher or that neighbor or that aunt or somebody, that when we were really questioning, just
mm,
that is the person that they will remember. You hear those speeches on stages all the time. Thank you to my third grade teacher who made me feel, you know what I mean? How memorable was that third grade teacher? Oh, good stuff. You're doing good stuff.
I hear lots of those things, but I have never once experienced it for myself. I felt like well, now I'm an educator, so that's the reason why I want to be a little bit different than what my education was before. So my teachers before never made an impact in my life or anything. I don't
Mm,
even remember their names. Well, I don't even remember the bad teachers. So I would say, do they give me an impact? Not really, but so I want to be
hopefully not.
different than what my teachers were before and do it
Yeah.
things differently. Um,
I had a girl, I teach a lot of corporate events now. I do a lot of corporate wellness events for big companies. And I was teaching a group of people from Spotify. And this girl
all
signed
right.
into the class late. She was very quiet and painted along with the activity. And after the cleanse, she didn't say much. I only remembered her because she joined pretty late. And it
Mm-hmm.
turns out she did not
Mm-hmm.
want to join because when she was 11 or so, she was in an art class and they had an assignment to do a landscape and she painted the sky pink, and the teacher yelled at belittled her for a pink
Mm-hmm.
sky. And she's like, not only didn't want to do art but didn't like art, like anti art ever since then. That is a powerful teacher message. You don't realize, who does that to a kid. But she's like, I didn't think I would enjoy it, but I enjoyed it. And it is a very, very, it just is really is a very, very important thing. Yeah.
Like for me right now, I also teach art, just in case. So I
Oh.
teach art, I teach social studies, I teach humanities, right? Pretty much.
Yes.
Pretty much like logic and whatever else. So, but here's the thing though, when I teach art, I I'm gonna say I'm a little bit like that teacher who says the sky is pink. I'm gonna be saying things like, okay, your sky is pink. That looks great, but let's think about it. Do you really want it to be pink? If you want it to be pink, fine. But I feel like maybe it should be a different color or something. I look at it as a, how do we say, say art is subjective, but I look at it in a way that I want it to present better for you. I mean, everyone's like a Picasso, but there's so much you can be as a Picasso until you get hurt as a student. So I do not want my students to get hurt by reality too early in their life. Um, put in there a little bit because their sky might be pink. They might like it now, but if they bring it out to the world, they're gonna get hit by so many people, and therefore it drags them down. So I believe that for me, if the sky is pink, you like it, okay. If you want to be brave about it and get on with it, okay, let's do it. But if not, let's try to think of a different way. Like for example,
But
this right. Sorry.
but for 30 seconds a day, the sky is pink, depending on the time of
For
year.
sure.
At
Yeah.
dusk or at dawn,
Yeah.
the sky is pink. And also, there's a difference between asking people to see it, to think about doing it a different way, and belittling somebody for the way they did it. And what you do
Right.
is
I understand.
ask
Yeah.
them. So that's the difference there.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll give you another example. Like today, because this whole past the next these 2 weeks is all getting ready for their finals and their presentations. So we have this final show that they have to put up, like the wall that they've designed. And so this one particular student of mine just did everything really quick. And I guess that's the personality. And so I always try to encourage her not to. So she had these 6 photos that she has to cut up and stick it on the wall. That was her work, and she just cut it in a weird way. Not because she wants it weird. I'm gonna say lazy, right? And so, and she just the wall. I'm like, okay. And I was like, you sure you want it to be like that? I said, yeah, it's style. I'm like, could you organize it a little bit better? And I'm not gonna touch it. The thing is, I want her to realize it. I was like, she's
Mm-hmm.
like, no. I was like, look at all the other students, and she will come up with things like, well, I'm special, I'm unique. Like, yes, you are special and you are unique, but at the same time, can you try to be a little bit more organized? And so she'll come up with all kinds of excuses. It's not because she wants it to be special and unique, more like she's being lazy. So for me, when I see that, I'm not happy about it. I rather have someone who is special and unique, that is doing things special and unique, because that's
And
how we
thoughtful and
do.
purposely. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
therefore, okay, great, do it. But if they're like lazy in that, I feel like, oh, there's so much I can push, and there's so much I don't want to say, and it hurts because reality, right? So yeah.
Yes. Yes.
You
I,
mentioned
I
also that um, improv saved
mhm.
your business, right?
Yes.
So I want to know, or we all want to know, like, because life as a business owner is never really, how do we say, full of candies, right? So it's gonna be bad times as well. So because we're so, like I mentioned earlier, the routine that we do, and then so I guess improv changed something there. So could you share with us how you went from bad to amazing?
Yes. First of all, there are a couple of really big chains in America for this paint and sip, right? They're like one company's in a bunch of different bigger cities. And before I started doing what I do now, I was an illustrator and doing other things, and I heard of a paint and sip, and I thought, as an artist and a comedian, I am uniquely qualified to do that for a living. I would be so good at that. And so I called a big chain to say, to let them know. And they said I could do it at a bar on Tuesday nights. And I thought, I don't want to do it in a bar on Tuesday nights, so I'm just going to start my own business. So I started this having never done it before. So I don't have a model that I follow, right? It's so what I do is, at the time I was living in an artist's co-op that had a shared gallery that I could teach in, so I didn't have to rent an extra space and I didn't have to do it in a bar. That's awesome, but I don't have a liquor license. What can I do different? I can have people just bring in their own thing. So it was a BYOB. Well, I can't
Mm,
charge money for that. What can I do? I can give a suggested ticket price to come in, and which means they don't have to pay that price, but people will pay that price. So that's how I started my business, and then it became what it became. And then the pandemic hit, and I no longer had a space to teach people, and I no longer had an income. I'm like, okay, what can I do now? What is a different way that I can do this? Well, I can send paint to people's homes. How do I do that? And the first thing I came up with was to buy little frozen pop baggies, Ziploc baggies that were this big, that I would squeeze paint into. It was very messy. And I bought
I
brushes in
remember.
bulk so I could send these to people. It's very messy. And I'm like, this is not sustainable. What else can I do? And then I found whole kits, and then I found a company to work with in China that would make a kit for me. And so all the way along, as something would arise, I'd be like, what is another way to do this? What is another way to do this? Some people get very stuck in, well, this is how you do this, and I can't do that now, so now I've got nothing. And they don't think that extra step of, what would be another way to do this? What would be another way to do this? How else can I tackle that thing? So in I think that is something that improv has definitely given me. Also, people will call and ask for strange things. I always say yes, and then I figure out how to do it. When the pandemic first hit, somebody called and said, "Is it possible to do a class outside?" Yes. And then I had to figure out where to have it happen and where to do this. So I always say yes, and then I figure out, okay, now I got to make this. I can do
Oh,
this. I can do there. So I was able to get a lot of jobs, and I really thrived in the pandemic. It killed a lot of local paint and sips in my area, but because I looked for ways, I looked for creative ways to move further, and my business doesn't look anything now like it used to be. I am not a paint and sip. I'm 100% virtual now, and um, and because of that, I get to teach people all over the world. I'm grateful to improv, yeah, for that reason.
Thank you for sharing. I guess that
Yeah.
brings to your business, which is a brush capades, brush capades,
Brushcapades. I made
brush
that word up,
capade,
much like my
brush
first
capade,
name.
brush capade. Yeah. So for everyone out there, I actually put the link on there so you can look it up. Or on our sidebar right there, you can actually see the brushcapades.com. Go check it out. She's been doing it online. Like she's mentioned, 100% virtual. She's teaching people from everywhere. Right?
Come to my
Everywhere.
classes.
Yeah, so let's break our routine and try to, do art. I do want to bring to
Perfect.
another point to discuss here, right? So
Yeah.
we have like goals in life, or when we of certain visions that we want, whether we are young or old, we have this vision that we want to do, or to achieve. And most times like one of our viewers just mentioned, reality is painful. Yes, it is.
Yes.
It's painful,
Hi,
and
Leanna.
sometimes all those things that we were supposed to achieve, we don't do it. And so that brings the category of a label of unfulfilled expectations in life. And when we get that, I guess our life is so boring and gets dull because we start. And like you mentioned, there's some people will not try different ways, and you do try different ways. But when people don't, our life becomes so boring. Right? But at the same time, they blame life or pandemic or whatever that's going on that says I can't do it. I can't do it. So what can you say to this situation?
Baby steps. Take baby steps towards something. If you like to sing, go to a karaoke bar. There are virtual karaoke bars now. Go do that. Whatever. What is something that you used to like to do when you were a child? Find a way to do that now. That I think that's an instant way to bring a little joy into your life. Find groups. There are groups of people who do the things that you like to do. Games.
Mm,
You're really into science fiction novels. There are groups of people out there with book clubs and things like that. Um, I used to like to sing as a kid. I just joined a community choir. That was I didn't know I would love it as much as I did. It just gave me a lot of joy, and it also had an end date of the concert at the end. So it wasn't a big commitment. You can find anything on YouTube. Uh, I tried for a while to teach myself how to tap dance on YouTube
yeah,
for
you did
free.
mention that tap dancing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I did, but I'm old now and I can't get the lift off the floor that I probably could when I was younger. So, but I gave it a shot, and it gave me a lot of joy to try that. Find the think of and if it's hard to think of a thing, just try stuff. Just try stuff. There's so many great. There's a company called Domestika with
Yes, yes, I know that. Yeah.
Domestika.
Hmm.
So many different creative things that you can try for like $9 or $10, and they'll just give a really great primer to all kinds of different art activities if art is something that you think you would like to try. But I really hope that you do. Even just doodling, even
Mm.
just making repetitive patterns with 5 shapes, dots, circles, parentheses, my favorite art shape, by the way, lines and curvy lines. Just make repeating patterns. It's so satisfying to make a complicated thing out of
Mhm.
a simple thing. Just that crossword puzzles, all kinds. Just they're baby steps to trying things that you maybe didn't think that you could do or that you even wanted to do, but just try things. Even just the act of trying things, even if it's something you're not going to like, it can give you joy too. It's like, well, then knock that off the non-bucket list. Well,
Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I remember last year, well, I had a student she's really good in painting and pretty much art, right? Because her parents sent her to art when she was younger, and she hates it now. She does hate
mm,
it, but
mm,
she's so good at it.
yeah,
She hates it, but she's so good at it. Uh, Her parents always encourage her to go into competitions and stuff. I do
Mhm.
also because I know how good she is, but she's like, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. I'm like,
Aw.
oh. I was like, and then this thought and idea comes in, what a waste of talent, but I can't say that. So I have to figure out a way to have her like it and like art again. And there are some students in my class who doesn't like art in the first place, and so I thought of doodling. And I'm not good at doodling because it takes time and patience. I mean, it's not so easy just to doodle. Well, it's easy to doodle, but it just takes time and patience to
Mhm.
doodle a
Mhm.
lot of it. And so I we started with doodling a little bit, and she got so good at it. But occasionally she comes like, "Oh, this is too long. Takes forever." But I'm like, "It's looking good. It's looking good." And so eventually, when she finished it, and well, she take everyone already finished theirs, but she took a long time. But her work looks amazing, and so I I I think she started to like doodling a lot since then, but she doesn't realize it yet. So she's just
Yeah.
doing a lot
Yeah.
of it. So she's getting really good at it. So yeah.
Yeah. We all have the capacity for the talent. They've done a lot of studies on the brains of people that have talents for certain things, and there's just nothing different. The difference between somebody who can draw and somebody who does not know that they can draw is how you see a thing. You see a face, you see eyes. I know what eyes look like. Footballs, rugby ball. I know what a nose looks like. The letter L. Oh, it looks like a
Mhm.
stick person. Well, you didn't look at the nose. You drew what you know a nose looks like. So a good exercise to try is to take a picture of anything, but faces are hard anyway because they move a lot. But draw a thing and be upset, and then turn that same reference photo upside down and draw it again. Now you are seeing what an artist sees, which is lights and darks, shapes of things, and the distance between things.
Mm,
That's the difference. And then it's just a comfort level with whatever your medium is, the pencil or the brush or whatever. And that is a seeing thing, not a talent thing. And
mm.
that young girl with all the talent just can do that, and that's awesome. But it is something you that can be developed in anybody.
Well, I
and
hope so,
and
right?
and the thing that shuts people down is their own voice saying, I can't do it, I suck at this. It shuts
Yep.
them down. Yeah.
All right. So, I'm gonna round it up a little bit with all the things that we talked about and came up with a few steps that we mentioned earlier. So, one of it is we need to explore new activities or hobbies that's out there to get rid of this dull, mundane life or this boring life. And the second one is to mix up our routine. So do things a little bit different. We mentioned that.
Yes.
One of the other things we mentioned is express yourself. We talk about going to the KTV, or I mentioned my students is singing out loud. I mean, that's great.
Yes.
Um, Next one, collaborate with others, like finding groups or events and get into them. Um, Even though it takes time. But for me, I believe that if we want to achieve something, just take that little bit of time. I mean, for now, it doesn't look like a big thing, but it might help us out. So just like Angel did, she did improv and decided to change a little bit of her life, and she has successful business, right? And you also mentioned that meditation, and so not too much of 6 hours of meditation on your phone, but meditation on an hour or two will actually reboot. We may use the word
Yes.
reboot yourself. So as if we are on
Yes.
a computer or a PC, we need to reboot ourselves constantly, right?
Yes.
Um, be creative. So for science and math teachers out there, art teachers won. Yeah. But at the same time, so creativity does just makes our life a little bit more exciting, I guess. So
Yes.
Angel, would you like to run up in your own words? Anything for our audience and viewers out there?
Look for joy. Find joy, mostly within yourself, and then you'll see the joy everywhere else. It all comes down to joy, and yeah, that.
Find joy in yourself. Very good. Very well said. So everyone, we are stressed and fatigued and we are dull in our entire life. It's not because we are. I think it's because the reality of life has blunted us, has dulled us step by step every day. And so we, as a knife, has become dull. And we need to sharpen it by mixing things up a little, doing things step by step with baby steps. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying anyone's perfect. I'm saying I myself sometimes are in the dull and boring life. So a little bit of change can make a difference. So it helps Angel, she mentioned in her business. So I think it will help us all in our entire life. So
Yes.
thank you, Angel, for joining us
Thank
today in
you.
Just Chat. Thank
It
you
was
for
great
everyone
to
who
meet you.
watching us
Great to
today.
be here.
It's great. It was amazing. You bring such a great personality and great vibrant energy into the show. So
Thank you.
hopefully everyone gets a lot of things from today's show. I want to say goodbye, goodbye everyone, and I'll see you on the next show. Goodbye.